welcome. Got about 12 people to view stream. Been a long time since sorry about that. This is Jinx De'Caire, and I help run the Brave Dojo, but I also make a lot of my in-game ISK over the last few years, making booster production. One of the things that I promised a long time ago was to make a class on production. So this is that class. This has been delayed because some of these graphics that are terrible in Paint, I wanted to make super complicated that cover every drug, but that was just too much for me to fix today, and my sound. Let me know in chat if the sound is okay. Alright, well I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll look at chat occasionally if I have questions. So, these are combat boosters online, and ones that I've listed here, can you see? Okay, so the ones on the right here, the combat boosters, these are the manufacturable. Other drugs in the game aren't manufacturable. That's the one. Pill, Exile, Mind Flood, X Instinct, Drop, Frentix, and Soothsayer. I have another video on the YouTube that I did a while ago that covered over when you might want to use these and things like that. This is only focused on production, so if you're on the industry side of things, this stream might be of interest to you. And then I'm going to further just focus on Frentix and Mind Flood, because Brave has been down here in Catch a really long time, and now we're going Aquarius, which is close to Mind Flood. But I've been doing this production for. I also produce all the other drugs, and just to show you, one of my favorite things about drugs is that they are regional. So 95% of all the gas only spawns a certain region. There's also a low sec counterpart, but I don't think much is actually Huff. Much of the gas is Huff there. So just going around, I'll go start in Cloud Ring, which is Drop, and that comes from Viridian Cytosarian, and there's one constellation, about 6 systems. It's shown over here. On. If you look up gas cloud harvesting, this is the constellation specific to Asalot. So then over in Tenal, there's Crash. Veil is Silent, there's Blue Pill. And Wicked Creek, there is Soothsayer, not very popular. In Catch, there's Frentix. Faith Ballast, there's X Instinct. And Delve, Mind Flood, Fountain, Exile. Then you'll see these green lines that I drew. Each drug has a kind of drug that to make the improved strong version mix with. So for, you can see it's still regional based, so it's kind of the neighbors. Exile and Drop are sisters. Pill and Crash. Soothsayer and X Instinct. Always saying that wrong. Anyway, Frentix and Mind Flood. Those are sisters. And then to make the strong version, if you do like a triangle across the galaxy, you have to mix it with the farther one. So Mind Flood and Frentix mix with Pill and Crash to make the strong version of those, vice versa. And then Exile and Drop mix with There and X Instinct. So I think this is a really cool thing because it is so regional based. One thing to keep in mind, and I'll go back with this, and later in I'm going to actually show you the markets. One thing to keep in mind is, for instance, if you are in Catch, all the Lime Cytosarian make Frentix is there. and it's very easy to one or a few players to huff the mine, call it, uh, the gas to such a level that could, in a couple weeks, you could make month drug for Vegeta. So if you keep that in mind for all of them, all the same mechanic, it's kind of interesting that it's so regional, but um, just a few players can really affect the supply of these drugs and drive the cost down. So these these drugs, the supply and demand, of course, cause the prices to go up and down, but I think it's a lot more extreme than you see in. Uh, and so I'll show some of those charts and what you need to consider when you are deciding to be a drug manufacturer. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through my um, bad graphics paint right now, and then I'm going to go in the game and actually show you. I'm going to make some drugs. Okay, so the basic process to make a standard drug is one, you have to have the gas. So you start with the gas. Let's see. All right. So you start with the gas, and then you need a reaction booster formula. Later, I'll talk about where you can get those kinds of things. That turns into a pure standard Frentix. One good thing to know: the gas is huge, hard to transport, whereas the pure standard Frentix is much smaller and easier to transport. Then you need to get a blueprint copy, and you can turn that into the. That is the standard drug manufacturing that I'll show you how to do today. And this, you could also do this path for any other standard drug. Okay, so this is the one that really tripped me up, that I wanted to make a full map of how to make all the drugs, and I wasn't able to conceptualize how to do it. So I've only done it for set of drugs. So this is, like I told you before, Frentix and Mindflood are sister drugs. So if you want to make pure standard, if you want to make improved Mindflood, strong Mindflood, first you have to have both pure standard Frentix and pure standard Mindflood. Any pair, for instance, Crash and Blue Pill, are a pair as well. So then, from these, you can decide with a reaction formula. You decide I'm going to make pure Mindflood, or I'm going to make pure improved Frentix. And then once you do that, once you make those, then you mix it with a third booster, a pure standard booster, and that makes pure strong Mindflood. Or if you use Blue Pill with pure improved Frentix, that makes strong Frentix. Then I just want to make a small statement. I get asked all the time, Jinx, make us hard shell, make us Pyrolantia, make us overclocker. None of these are manufacturable. Can't make any of these antifarm cons. Can't or Quafe 0. So stop asking me. I think CCP should add these to be able to manufacture, particularly since they're giving away drugs for the login rewards, which seems wrong, and manufacturer, I don't appreciate that. So that is just really quick on where the drug resources come from, how the manufacturing process works. So now I'm going to go onto my manufacturing tool and show you some of the skills needed and actually just pushing the button and how to optimize what you need for the structures and how to optimize your product. Then after that, I'll go on my market tune in Jita and I'll show you how to get some of the supplies, how to compete. Price point should be based off and not go broke. Like I said, these drugs tend to go through cycles. All right, let me up here. Okay, so this is, I'm in a refinery here so that I can make your standard booster. I've already actually made the booster, but I'm going to show you that process, and then I'm going to make it today. Yes, booster class. Okay, so to make a standard mind flood, so this would be, actually we'll go with 6. That's what we come from. So you always need some kind of planetary material. Some of the different ones, so water. There's different ones for the drugs. Maybe it's the levels. So here's improved 6. I'm just gonna go through standard. Sorry. One, you need lime Cytosarian. So I've already done this here. I built, but you have lime. So this is all. Almost 95% of this is huffed in catch. There's a low sec, but if you have it, it's probably been huffed by lime. In the last few years, it was all huffed by brave. So then you have your PI, you have your cytosarian, and you have fuel blocks. So what you need is your reaction skill up to level 2 before you run the standard. Once you have that, decide how much you have based on your supplies, and you hit start. The most important thing is if you're trying to make a lot, then you'll want reaction formulas, because this can, I think it's 50 pills, which for like Mind Flood, that's like one save standard. That's about 800. That's 800 pure standard. That takes 3 days to make. So if you wanted to make a fleet worth of Mind Flood, you'd need, within a day, you would need multiple reaction formulas. These all drop, I'll talk about this later, but these all drop from sites that you can scan down. And once you, if you're living in the region, it's easy to get many. I would recommend you buying these at G to buy. Don't buy these at sell, because there's a much bigger supply than there is. And so the sell prices are patient. Okay, so today I'm going to make some improved Mind Flood boosters that's often used. Oh no, and I bad. Get all my drugs set up for you prior to. Alright, well you can see me fly around. Any questions at this point in the class, please chat. Alright. The nap before. We'll want 2 strong. You'll need one that's fit for reactions. It's actually a any reactions have, there's 3 different labs that they could require. One is the hybrid, that is the Kwai, that's me with the push to talk. I'm sorry. I'll try to keep it down since I'm the one. It lets me go silent occasionally. Hey, there's all the drugs there. Want your standard Frentix, and I see I pulled it and then that could be my mic, not the best quality. I have a really nice one, and it doesn't like my new computer sound card. Still working. I am much better at the Eve part of this than the streaming part. I apologize for that. Okay, let's see if I have enough now. Okay, like I said, once you have the pure standard, this is what you need to make the improved. So for the standard Mind Flood, you only need reactions 2, but for improved Mind Flood, you're going to need reactions 3. So you have your fuel blocks, you got your PI, and you got standard and Frentix. You can see I can choose, so this is making pure standard Mind Flood. The exact same could also make me improve Frentix. The same drug supplies, but then this is using spirits, which is an NPC item. You have to import it, but it doesn't use that many, so you can import a lot once, and it's super cheap. The import costs are more than the import costs are more than the actual item. Okay, but Mind Flood gets used more than Frentix. Frentix has gotten popular with some of the Triglavian ships, but Mind Flood for beats is Logi. I try to supply that. So I'm just going to make 84 just as a sample here, but you can see that even one takes 1 hour. So if you wanted to make fleets full of improved Mind Flood, which is I think about 600, so you lose some of the reaction when you combine them. But it still works out to be 50 job runs for 50 pills about, and you can see that's about 3 days. So you need about, I know that you need about 15 to make a drug, so I'm just going to put this in for 48, and I'll work with that later. I just wanted to show you. And that's how you make a drug. So we could do the same thing, or the pure improved. Let me show you the strong Mind Flood. I'm not going to make that right now. I can find it here. So the strong Mind Flood is very similar, except for now, just like I showed you before, you need pure improved Mind Flood and then a third booster. So in this case, this is Crash. Why you asked, do I import the cytosarin and do you produce or import the pure drug? So it depends. So if in the regions around me, I can pretty easily get the cytosarin, but you have to be very careful not to overpay for it because the transport cost is so much of it, and I'll talk more about that later. The other part of drug manufacturing, which mirrors real life, is if you know people, you can often trade some of these one-to-one, but that takes time and connections. That's the secret sauce. So this is another NPC item that I've imported a lot of, and again, the import cost is the actual cost. I've had this for years. If I wanted to make strong Frentix, which is less popular than Mind Flood, then you mix it with Blue Pill Booster. I will show you that. So strong pill. Strong blue pill is mixed with Mind Flood, so you can see that they mix together like the. So Mind Flood and Frentix mix for improved, then they mix with either Crash or Blue Pill, and vice versa. So Crash and Blue Pill mix with Mind Flood and Frentix. Okay, so now we're oh, here, let's look at the outcome. So here's job duration. Now we want material efficiency. here we go. So here is installed material efficiency. So this is in PTAC-Z. So you have an installed rig. This is a Sotuyo in nullsec. You can use calculators, but click here, you can see that there's a rig that gives minus 6%. And to even be able to produce this, you need a biochemical reactor. I can look. All of this used to be done in PASs back in the day. But so here's a stand-up biochemical reactor. So you're going to want to put this in an ethanol ARA, which is bonused for it. Again, it is illegal to produce these drugs. If you here, illegal to produce these drugs in HiSec. So you have to do this in low, null, or wormhole, and wormhole and null have better bonuses for it. But reducing your logistics, how much you're jump freighting, is always going to make you more competitive. All right, so now I'm going to go some drugs that I already had. Okay, so what I'm going to make today, again, to give our fleets lots of drugs, we want to use standard mind flood boosters. Here we'll see that we have an installed rig that gives minus 4% and a structure roll bonus of minus 1%. That's nice. That saves me just a little bit of mind flood booster here. And I'm going to make 50. So you can see one thing that's nice is that the drug manufacturing is pretty quick. So once you have it in pure standard, you want to never bad to put everything into pure standard. Hanging onto the gas is not a big deal. You don't want to deciding to put it in pure improved, pure strong can limit yourself. So I've done things like accidentally made too much pure strong and then run out of standard that I wanted to use. So I'm going to make some drugs here. Too many. So here, one thing you can see is for standard, it's the lower level drug. All you need is level 1 manufacturing. I'm not talking about synth yet. I might have one of those, but I'm pretty sure even that. Here we go. Yes, so it takes synth only comes from Mito-Saracen. Mito, I think that's it. Anyway, that's only low sec gas, and it also takes drug manufacturing level. Okay, but if we wanted to make improve, let's see if I have any mind flood. Yes, I do. So there's always a mineral component with these. Megasite, I think. I can't remember all of it. We'll look, but there's always a mineral component. So here we go. I have 407, so that's make 34. But you need drug manufacturing 3 for the mind flood booster. Like that. I don't have any strong made to, but I will show. So strong Printix. So this one is the longest train. So I would, strong doesn't sell nearly as well. Even strong mind flood doesn't sell as well. Best to have customers make this, I think. But because this drug manufacturing 5 is a, so before you can make this drug manufacturing. One nice thing about drugs, though, is even though the strong can be pretty expensive items, for instance, the in-game total cost is often broken for drugs, so that really reduces the manufacturing cost of drugs compared to some other items. That's something I've just noticed over time. Yeah, see, this is actually pretty expensive drug manufacturing. I'm not going to make that much. You can see I'm doing some in. Well, let's look. So it wasn't too bad. The biggest thing. Sorry, Timothy asked what kind of skill plan are we talking about. So let's go look at production. So the ones you want your typical industry and mass production just to get more slots, but then for drug manufacturing, you can see it's only 512,000 skill points, so that's not too bad. Reaction skills I think are a little bit worse. See, I don't think requirements. Yeah, so here you can see what's required for each. And then for reactions, what's Seymour's, Timothy? All right, so for reactions, this one is the one that you want. You're going to want remote reactions and remote reactions as well as mass reactions. So reaction is what lets you be allowed to do it. That's the skill required and also reduces the time. Remote reactions lets you complete your jobs from far away. You can see I'm actually doing some in catch and delve right now. And so those are a little bit too far away. Oh, I was able to complete the one in delve. But I think the catch one, no. So see with remote reactions 4, for 25 jumps, even though this was in GE, that's apparently within 25 jumps, so I was able to complete it. So that's nice. Really nice skill that I recommend getting. And then mass reaction is the one that lets you do jobs, which if you get into this, you're going to want a lot more of that. And then advanced mass reactions gets you to the 10 job slot. Gas cloud harvesting, you're of course going to want if you want to farm the gas. So in terms of the skill required, that's all you need. To use the drugs, you need to have, and actually I'm not sure if this is a secret requirement, but you may actually have to have biology 3 for the manufacturing. Can't remember if it worked up. You guys will have to reply to the stream if you get into this and let me know if you have to have biology 3. But you can't, I didn't know that until I started making it, but you can't even use the boosters unless you have biology 3. Okay, so that is the basics of making drugs. One thing, so I'll show you, I have pretty good stocks here. You can also see my my T3 stuff. So here is this is all my drug supplies I keep around for making drugs. And oh, there's stuff for the side effects. That's the neuro. Asking a question about side effects. Neurotoxin control and recovery, but I talk about that in my booster class for use drugs. So we're manufacturers here. We don't use our own supply. So I try to keep a good stock so that I can manufacture when I want to, and it's often easier to buy this stuff in bulk because, like when you're making trades, there's a lot. A lot of times someone wants a lot from you, and they can do one for one trade or whatever it's. So next, I'm going to go into the market a little bit about how to sell these and how to buy the supplies so that you don't try to do this. Okay, so switch my character. Wait a moment, guys. My ping. slack is going. Okay, so very necessary for most manufacturing in Eve, but particularly drugs, is you're going to have your trade alt. Here, I'm in, I think I'm actually in perimeter, but you will be in JITA. So because I was making Mind Flood, let's talk about Mind Flood. All right, I'm not going to do any math. I'm just going to talk in generalities here. But you can see for Mind Flood here, you can see that there is a pretty big gap between the sell price and the buy price. Sometimes, particularly for commodities, this can be a lot closer. And so my recommendation is, and you can see this in the chart too, I'll come back to that. My recommendation is always try to be able to produce. You want to be producing to be able to sell at buy and profit. It's great if you can do this, and probably for Mind Flood it's safe in some of the more popular drugs, but for the less popular drugs, the sales volume is not as great as the buy volume can be, and then this also would just be 900,000. If you plan for this price and you sell at this price, then you just get 900,000 profit. But it can help you in your supply because the market can go up and down so crazy. So here, if you decided here to start manufacturing drugs, then you're like, oh, my sell price is 4.18 million. Well, then it dips down to 2.38. Then you're screwed. So I can tell you what happened here is, so people bought a whole ton, so you can see that happen, and then the people who have access to either supplies, they have big stocks like me, they said, oh, the price has spiked, and they just go dump it all on JITA. So then the price immediately comes down. So you need to be prepared to survive these. And Mind Flood is surprisingly steady, but you can see that the buy orders are pretty active. I'll show you on Frentix now. Frentix is less popular than Mind Flood, so it's even, this channel, this white part, is even more extreme. And I can tell you that some of these down spikes, that's probably me, because we were in catch. When JITA would get an extreme price, I'd say, "Oh, I'm gonna go make a bunch of Frentix," and I would just go fill every buy order there was. It would crash the price, and then over time it would recover, and then I would come and do it again. I'm not the only person in Frentix, but that I think that is more representative of this market than some of the, like if you're trading an ore or even skill injectors or something like that, I don't think they're as wild as this can be. I don't think as many people are profiting at buy order. They can be in drugs. So again, like some people are over here trying to sell at 4.2 mil, and I would probably never be harder now, living in Aquarius, but I would try to never let the price go to 4.2. That's extreme profits, unless they just happen. They might have bought when I sold it at 2.5 mil to a buy order, even though my manufacturing cost is like 700,000. So I don't think this guy will ever sell. 1.5, there's a little bit of profit there, but what I would do is I would wait for that to spike up, and then I would come dump a whole. And that's what I've done in the past. Now I'm going to screw up the market with this video, so that's fine. I'm prepared for that. Okay, so let's talk about first. Let's talk about where you get the reaction formula. I'm going to focus on standard. So you can see there's not, this isn't a huge amount of volume. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's pure standard. I'm with the reaction formula. I'm going to talk about this first. One, there is not a lot of, let's go to exile or something. You can see that there's buy orders for this pure standard. So this is the reacted. Someone's already taken the gas and reacted it. I would say if you could get a buy order at this price, that's worth it. Sometimes these are only listed at This is like Crash. This is 270. This is probably 200K overpriced compared to like what the fair value of huffing it is. What this could mean is that there's not very many people huffing right now. Up where Crash is. Let me check where that is. Crash is in Tenal. So that could mean this always depends on who's living around the gas. It could mean they're not huffing much. It could mean they're controlling the supply. But you can see here I have, this is an old order, but I was willing to buy at 82,000 because I know how easy it is to huff this stuff. You could huff a whole, more than all of this, you could huff in a few weeks pretty easily, and more determined people could do it faster. So just be careful. Don't go buy sell orders. If you bought this, then trying to get profit out would be very difficult. Now, if you're the manufacturer like me, so my cost for Frentix is very, very low. So I wanted just to liquidate some. So there was some orders for 100,000. I came up here and I just dumped all the orders to 100,000, and then I listed it here. And so, you know, this 339 guy, I don't know if he was market trading or something, but if he gets that, good for him. Someone's getting ripped off in that deal. So some of these are very low market volume. Soothsayer is not a popular drug, so you can see that people aren't even bothering to buy or sell. You do need it to react to other things, though. Drop is a very popular drug, so you can see the price. This price is probably more realistic, and so like 149, I don't want to pay that, but it might be worth it with hauling costs. So something you have to just consider. But all the drugs, even with the supply, even though that some drugs are more popular, it's more about a supply side. What is supply willing to sell? But let me get back to the reaction form. Need reaction form. They all get together, but you want these. So I want a standard mind flood reaction form. So here you can see that the buy orders are almost nothing and that the sell orders are much more. Now the real thing is that they're not, the sell orders, if you're impatient, if you just need one, yeah, you can get one for 6 mil. And the standard isn't that expensive, but I'll show you the strong. But then if you're patient, you can get one for really cheap because these are pretty easy to farm. So once somebody farms a bunch, they're going to export and try to get their money. If you're patient, you'll get it for very, very cheap. Then let's look at a strong mind flood. The strong ones are more rare, but look at the difference here. See, you're patient, get one for 50 mil, 70 mil. Not patient, you're going to pay 200 mil. You have to produce a lot of drugs, sell a lot of drugs before you pay off that 200. So being patient and doing the drugs here is, or getting the reaction formulas at the buy price, I think is a much better decision. Another nice thing about the market for drugs is what I would do is you could start with, say, standard mind flood. If you're down in test space and delve, yes, I said that, goons. You're down there and you get the standard mind flood booster. Well, you could start there, then you could branch into Frentix because you're going to want that for improved mind flood. And then from improved mind flood, you could add Crash so that you could also make a strong mind flood. And so then that's what I did, is you could start with 1 drug, 2 drugs, 3 drugs, and then grow from there because they have that pairing mechanism. All right, now to get the BPCs, they are farmable, and I'll talk about that later. But the easiest way to get them is to get them in JITA contracts. So they're pretty popular. What you'll notice is that a lot of these names are the same. I do want to warn you that there are a lot of scams. So what you need to do is you need to, oh, see, this is actually, I don't need any Frentix, but if you're going to start, this is a pretty good deal. So this guy compared Star Silver Strike compared to the cheese biscuits, this is the standard one. Look for runs 50. He's selling for 99. Well, this guy's selling 200 for 8 million. If I didn't have as many Frentics as I did, I would buy this immediately. It's a great deal. But what you want to watch out for is there's a lot of scams for one runs. So it'll look like it's the cheapest one, going too fast. It says runs one. Okay, 10 million, be sad. 10 million is not that bad, but then we go look up some of the strong. So this is 250 mil, and look, this one is a scam right here. So I'm calling you out, Rain Day. This is 250 mil, and you get one run, and then you're going to sell Strong Mind Flood for 17 mil or something. Oh, it's up a little bit. 26 mil, you're going to go sell it for 26 mil, and you're going to cry with 90% its gloss. So do not buy this. Yes, I've done it. Went too fast. Okay, so let me go back to contracts and find a non-scam one. So again, I'm not going to do a calculator, but if you come over here, because the war is down in Delve, these have really increased in price recently. You'll see that some of these people are the same. But so here, so 50 runs, 600 mil. So it's like, what is that, like 11 mil per run. So you need to have the cost of the BBC, particularly for improved strong, is usually half or two-thirds of the cost to produce the drug. That means for the supplies, you need to reduce that cost as much as possible to maintain your profit. So this will be 11 mil of your 26 mil that you're going to sell for, and stagings you can sell a little bit higher. So you need, to get a good profit, you need to keep your cost of the pure Strong Mind Flood booster down to like 10 mil. And that's doable. When you have all the costs of the gas and the fuel blocks in there. Alright, let's look at a couple others. Yes, Seth, this is really live. So look, there's not even, right now, no one's farming or selling strong crash. So that means if you have them, like I might have one. So. Oh no. Let's look. In these prices, don't overinvest. One of my mistakes is overinvesting in some of these PCs. So, you want to be paying attention. Don't go like, if you're going to buy a bunch of drugs, slow into it. War's going pretty well. It's very good for mind flood cells, I'll tell you that. Since this is drug booster production. So like this strong drop booster blueprint, I've seen it down to 250 and I've seen it up to 600, but it really depends on who's living in the space at the time. Let's look up strong blueprint. So this, right now, I think it's, oh, look, here's our rain day guy. Ignore X. Anyway, don't buy from this guy. You're on Dojo, you telling people. But, oh, this guy's a scammer too. Nialika. Man, they're all scams right now. Okay, this guy's, we like Gypsy Danger Killer. I don't like his name, but anyway, 450 mil. I've seen this all the way up at 800 mil. It really depends on what's dropping. The strong don't drop as often, but be patient. I would not just go buy the first contracts. You want there to be competition in the contract. All right, so let's see. Oh, here's my buddy. Another scam. See, he's selling it for half price. Casso sells lots. He sells lots of these. I've bought many. I bet he could sell it cheaper than this, but this is his market. Watch this. He buys the cheap ones and he resells them for what he can. So this 104, this is about going price right now. I'll get into the BPC drop. I'll have to Google around. I know where it is, but it's called Catch is called a Frentix production facility, and in Delve it's the Mine Flood something facility. I'll pull that up though. These are a good thing to farm, particularly if you know someone is producing or if you're producing yourself. If you're living in that region, it's not too hard to farm. Someone's actually farming these for me, Bomber and Delve right now. Usually, you can see here's one in Amar, but almost everything is traded in Jita unless you're living in the region, and then you can usually beat these costs or mine it or go ratting yourself. All right, give me a minute, and I'm gonna up these production facilities. Okay, so I found them. Yeah, they're called chemical labs. So they're kind of cosmic signature. Let's see if I can display this for you. Ah, there we go. Okay, so if you are in Catch, there is the PW09 Frentix distribution base and Frentix production facility. They have the rats, but these are still not super well documented. The one thing to really be worried about is that they can scram, so be prepared for that. And then there are cans. That's where you're actually getting it. I think there's usually a boss. Oh, you see this elite cruiser lieutenant? He can also drop the drug BPCs. So since we've been talking about Mine Flood, we'll go to the Chain Mine Flood facility. See, they have E-War. Oh, it looks like in Delve, this one does not have scrams. The X means it escalates, so be careful. But then there's a bunch of bins here. You can also get a few BPCs from the mission agents that are in space. You trade them some gas for a small BPC, but I don't know people that do. There's usually another type. Digital circuitry is another one in Catch that can also drop the BPCs. Also the skill books, the neurotoxic control skill books drop from these, and those can be part of the loop. So the rats aren't really that great, but getting the BPCs, particularly for the high value drugs, sell really well. You can scan down if you have something like in test they've got deep safe, or in Brave we use their deep safe as well, and you can other people will scan them down and leave them alone because the rats are a pain in the ass. So it's often easy to use one of the compliance tools, go find them and blap them. Can overfarm these. Like I said, I have a friend, a futility, you're out there, who ran these so often that even trying to sell like the standard Frentix boosters is not worth it to him, because just the volume that he was receiving was way more than demand, so he had to keep on updating the contracts. So you can see, just like the huffing on the BPC side, if people are over farming it, then the price can go down really fast. Okay, well let me my notes real quick. See what else I have about yet. Oh, one thing. If you're interested in drug manufacturing, please feel free to hit me up, particularly if you're in another region, and maybe we can do some trades.